So part one, I was a contractor for this company that did disaster work. They would send me out for different disaster related events. They sent me to South Carolina. When they sent me to South Carolina, um, there was a class that I had to take, like a refresher course once you hit the field. So I walk into the class a little late. There's a girl, there's an open chair that has a briefcase on it, and then another chair next to that that's completely free. So I sit in that chair that's completely free. The class has started now, so the door opens and a guy walks in. He picks up the briefcase and he sits down in that seat, so right next to me and in between the other girl. So, I wasn't paying him any mind, like he wasn't even my type. Um, so it was just like, okay, all right, dude sitting next to me, nothing. So time went on, the class was in session. They were given different breaks or whatever. So on one of the breaks, he came over and was talking to me. Just small talk, trying to get to know me, tells me he's from New Orleans. I'm like, okay, well, cool. I'm from Houston. And we just small talking, that's it. He tells me how long he's been with the company. I tell him the same, just small talk. So towards the end of the class, we go back into the building. Towards the end of the class, he slides his number on a piece of paper over to me, and he tells me to call him. Okay, all right. So later that week, closer to the weekend, I'm sitting around. I'm in South Carolina. I don't know anybody in South Carolina, and I got this phone number right here. So I call him. He's like, okay, cool. We can get out and kind of see South Carolina together. He wanted to see what was going on in the city, and he didn't have anybody else to do that with. So that's what he wanted to do. So okay, cool. So I go over to his hotel. I pick him up, and we decide to go to like some downtown markets in Charleston, South Carolina. So we're walking through like the open markets, just small talk, just kind of getting to know each other. And we decide after the markets to go have lunch. So there's a little restaurant right on the water, right not too far from the open market. So we go over to this restaurant and have lunch and talk some more, getting to know each other. He's telling me his story. Like I told y'all, I wasn't initially attracted to him. Okay, so he's sitting there, he's telling me his story. His story was he was with a girl since high school, and he was a dog. He told me this. He said, I was a dog. He said, I was cheating, I was messing over her, I was doing all kind of crazy stuff. He even had 2 outside babies while they were together. So immediately in my head, I'm like, nope, nope. So he goes on to tell me that she forgave him for all of that. They got married. They got married at 30. He wasn't cheating anymore. He was a good man. He was abiding by his vows. Not too long after, they found out that she had breast cancer. 3 years later, at the age of 33, she died. So he's sitting at the restaurant and he's telling me this story. And when I hear that, I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry. He says what he learned from that was when God puts someone in your life, never take them for granted. When he said that to me, everything changed. Everything. Like, I was immediately attracted to him for some reason. Like, now, just a little backstory on me. I grew up in the church, like from a little girl, a really little girl, like in the choir, brownie Girl Scouts with the church, cotillions for high school graduations, just literally grew up in the church 3 days a week at church, Bible study, choir rehearsal, Sunday school, church 3 times on Sundays, some days. So hearing that statement from him to me, it automatically just like, okay, yeah, if you go through something like that where you weren't doing a person right, and you start doing right, and then God takes them away, that should be like a wake-up call for you. That's immediately how I felt hearing his statement. So I started liking him secretly. internally. um, but of course, I was still trying to play hard to get with him. So we went on, the lunch was good. We finished the lunch. I dropped him back off at his hotel. We went on. Um, as the time progressed, I stayed in Charleston, and he got moved to Myrtle Beach. So when he got moved to Myrtle Beach, we weren't able to go out and kick it and stuff like we had been. So we were still keeping in contact though. He was still calling. We were still texting. So he wasn't missing. He wasn't missing a beat. So maybe like 3 weeks into us being in South Carolina, he wanted me to come down to Myrtle Beach. It was a weekend. It was a holiday weekend. So like we had like a 3-day weekend or whatever. So he wanted me to come down to Myrtle Beach. He said his room had double beds. And I was like, okay, cool. I could sleep in the double bed. I told him this over the phone. I'm sleeping in a double bed, so it was already understood. We wasn't doing all of that. So I get down there, and when I get down there, everything's cool. The vibe is cool. Like we were just able to talk and just have fun, I thought it was authentic. So we go out that night, like I said, we having fun. We out there at the clubs in Myrtle Beach, just cool little vibe. So the next morning was Sunday. He had to go and do a couple assignments for work. So he left the room maybe about 10 that morning. He didn't even try anything the night before, FYI. I slept in my bed. He slept in his bed, as agreed. Cool. I respect you, my brother. So the next morning, like I say, he leave out about 10 to go do his assignments. And I'm in the room. So I have my laptop with me. I'm able to live stream my church. So I'm sitting live streaming my church service. And the next thing I know, the door opens up. So I immediately looked because it was only like 30 minutes after he left. So it was crazy to me that the door was opening up. So I looked to see, who was coming through the door. And it's the same chick that was sitting in the class the first week. So how I told y'all, it was the girl, a briefcase, and then me. And he sat in that seat. It's the same girl that was on the end. It's the same girl he was in the middle of. And he was in the middle, of me and her. It's the same chick. She walks in the room with a key. So I'm looking, and I'm like, well, what? So she instantly says, his name is, we're going to call him Mikhail for the sake of this video. She instantly says, oh, Mikhail gave me the key. Do you know where the spoons are at? Do I know where the spoons are at? So I'm immediately thrown off by all of this. Y'all hold on for part 2.